Good morning, traders. Matt Weller here, Global Head of Research with FOREX.com. Today is Thursday, the 28th of May, 2026, and the one key question on traders' minds today is whether the U.S.-Iran ceasefire is holding in there, whether it's starting to fray, or whether it's outright breaking. In today's video, I'll cover the latest developments as well as everything else that you need to know ahead of today's U.S. session. Let's get into it. So there are conflicting reports from both sides, but it's clear that we've seen a re-escalation in tensions between Iran and the U.S. Iran claims that it fired some warning shots at a U.S. tanker that was trying to cross the Strait of Hormuz with a radar off. The U.S. claims it shot down those warning shots and then proceeded to retaliate with strikes against the Bandar Abbas airport, military airport near the Strait of Hormuz in Iran, which prompted Iran then to strike at a U.S. airbase in Kuwait. It's unclear exactly to who struck first or exactly what extent we saw retaliation versus initial strikes, but the big takeaway here is that this is a dramatic re-escalation, arguably the biggest escalation in military activity that we've seen since the ceasefire started. And again, it underscores that we're a far way from even a memorandum of understanding toward a path toward getting a nuclear deal and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. We'll see if the headlines change, but clearly traders are sort of selling first and asking questions later when it comes to risk assets like major U.S. indices and indeed gold, one we covered earlier this week, which is falling a further 1.5%. Meanwhile, oil, the most important market to be watching in this environment, is rising about 3% to erase most of the earlier week losses. We've also had some more traditional economic data out of the U.S. The U.S. core PCE report, the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, came in about in line with expectations, still well above the Fed's target, running at 3.3% year over year. And the other side of the Fed's mandate, we saw initial jobless claims, which came in at 215,000 versus 211,000 expected. Not too concerning there. Basically in-line U.S. economic data that will keep the Fed in a neutral to hawkish positioning as long as the conflict in Iran remains at least simmering at the level that it is now. Today's chart of the day is the U.S. dollar index. Here we can see the dollar index on a 4-hour chart has been within a broader range, going back the last month and a half here. Meanwhile, we've formed a smaller, tighter range so far this week between about 99 and 99.50. We were pressing up against the top of that range as these military strikes took place. The U.S. dollar caught a bit of a safe haven bid, but was unable to break above key resistance there at 99.50. Now we'll see how these strikes are characterized and whether it represents the ceasefire breaking or whether it's still holding intact. That will be the big driver for the U.S. dollar. I'll also note that we're coming into the end of the month. Tomorrow is the last trading day of the month, and we're likely to see a little bit of U.S. dollar selling as major investment houses rebalance their books. So that's another factor to consider here. But as long as it remains range bound, there's not a clear trend, and it's not one that trend-based traders should be focusing on. However, if we do break beyond this range, that could provide an early signal of the next move that we could see in the dollar index. A break above 99.50 would quickly target 100. Meanwhile, a break below that level would increase the odds of a pullback toward the 200 period moving average, which is also where the 200-day moving average is, closer to 98.50. So those are the levels to watch as we move into the weekend and, of course, into next week. That is today's video. Thank you for carving a couple minutes out of your day to watch. If I could ask just one quick favor before you go, please do drop a like on this video. It's a great way to show your support. It'll get more eyeballs on the video. And if you're not already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel at FOREX.com. Thanks again, and best of luck with your trading today.